Jai Hind dear students, today we will going to discuss about chapter number 5 of geography, that is human resources of class 8th NCERT. So let's begin. Introduction to human resources. As you know, what is a human resource? Human resource, first thing, is a nation's greatest resource. It is a key asset. Human resources actively transform natural resources into a valuable assets through skills and innovations. And we can also say that with their demand and abilities, it turn them into a resource. Like healthy, educated and motivated people develop resource as per their requirement. Human resource, like other resources, are not equally distributed over the world. We know they differ in their education level, they differ in their age, gender, and so on. And thus the characteristics also keep changing. Now, distribution of population. As you know, the way in which people are spread across the Earth's surface is known as the pattern of population distribution. And we are aware that in not uniformly the peoples are distributed over the land area. Around 90%, or we can say that more than 90% of the world population lives in only 30% of the land area, and hence the remaining 70% land area comprises of 10% population. And why it is so? It is so because of various factors. Like for example, we will going to observe that the polar region, they will have not much distribution of population. The population density or the people they are living there will be very low, sparsely populated. Like the harsh climate is there. Higher latitudes, we will going to observe the sparsely populated areas, desert, mountains, and equatorial forest, because they are very dense and the living condition is not so good. And hence there are different factors that we will going to discuss, which will going to affect the pattern of the distribution of population. Now, what is population density? Density means population density refers to the number of people living in a unit area. So how many people are living in a unit area is termed as the population density. The average density as per the NCERT is 51 person per square kilometer, and this is the density of the whole world. While there are some areas like Central Asia, like Southeast Asia, which have very high density. For example, NCERT also tells us about the average density of population in India is 382% per square kilometer. So population density definition, global density variation. Population density varies globally, with high density in urban areas and low densities in rural areas. And why this is so? Because of the various factors like education, the opportunity, economic opportunity, and so on. Now, what are the challenges of the high density? High population density can lead to resource pressure, housing shortage, and environmental degradation. Because as if the population density is high, you will require more resourceful person having more skill, more demand, and so on. And thus this will also going to affect the policy making and planning for the government. Now, factors affecting distribution. First thing is your geographical factors. Physical factor, it is written here, you can also write geographical factors. So it includes topography. Topography means which type of landform feature those people are living. For example, mountain, plains, plateaus. So people will going to areas which are suitable for farming, manufacturing and service activities. That's why plains are more preferable. Next is the climate. People usually avoid extreme climate like the polar region, desert, and so on. And hence they will going to live in the areas where the climate is moderate. Next is soil. If the soil is good, people will going to live there because soil help in farming and doing all the agriculture activities. That's why people prefer to live near the plains such as Ganga, Brahmaputra. And we are talking about this India. If we talk about the world, then we have like in Nile in Egypt and Changjiang in China. Next is water. Now this we have already seen. During the ancient time period also people were living or their habitation was near the river only. So river was a very important factor in determining the distribution of population from the very early age. So that's why people will live near the areas where the fresh water is easily available. Now, next is minerals. Areas with mineral deposit are also more populated, like diamond mines in South Africa, and in the Middle East you will going to observe the oil there. So people are living there more. Next comes the social, cultural and economic factors. Social means areas of better housing, education, health facilities, planning, proper infrastructure. For example, if we talk about Pune, we can also include Chandigarh also. Why? Because there is a very good administration and very good planning is also there. So town planning is now also included in the social factor. Next comes the cultural factor. Cultural places with religion or cultural significance attract people. For example, Varanasi, for example, Vatican City, and so on. Next is economic. We have already talked about the industrial areas, although we have already discussed about the industrial region in chapter number 4. So wherever there is industrial region, people will going to settle there in search of employment opportunities, in search of increasing their business, and so on. Now population change and growth. Now what is a population change? Population change refers to the change in the number of people during a specific time. As we know, the word population is not stable and it is changing, and it has increased manifold as we have seen. And this happens because of the birth rate and death rate. For example, there is also a term used known as population bombing. Whenever we see that during a particular time period when the rise of population is more, we call it population explosion. Birth rate. What is birth rate? Birth rate measures live birth per thousand people, or we can say that the number of live birth per thousand people. Death rate. Death rate means the number of deaths per thousand people. Next is the migration. So these three things are very important. Birth rate will going to decide the population. Second is death rate, and third one is the migration. Migration means the movement of the people in and out of a particular area. Now next one is about the natural growth rate. What is natural growth rate? Birth and deaths are the natural causes of the population. We know it. The difference between them, that is the birth rate and the death rate of a country, is called the natural growth rate of a particular country. So now if for example birth rate is more than the death rate, so we will say that the population is increasing. And if the birth rate is less than the death rate, then we will say that the population is decreasing. And if the birth rate and death rate are the same, then the population remains the same. This is D. We have already discussed the natural growth rate. Now, pattern of population change. Rate of population change varies across the world. In some countries like Kenya, we will see high population growth there because they had both high birth rate and death rate. Now, because of various factors, for example, with improving healthcare, we can also reduce death rate. So it's depend on the country's progress, country's economic growth, and the natural factors like the birth rate and the death rate to decide the population pattern of a particular country. For example, in UK, as per the NCERT, it is mentioning that population growth is slowing because of both low death and low birth rate. Now this is known as the population growth. Now let's move to population composition. Now, what is a population composition? Population vary greatly in their age, gender, literacy level, health condition, occupation and income level. And thus this population composition refers to the structure of the population. So how many males are there, females are there, which age category they are belonging, how much educated they are, what type of occupation they are performing, and because of all these factors we may look and study the population composition of a particular country. The best example is the age sex pyramid or the population pyramid. Now in this particular PPT the population pyramid is not mentioned here. Now you can observe the figure 6.6 or 5.6 as per the NCERTs, as old NCERT has 6.6 and the new NCERT is having the 5.6 figure. So there you can observe population pyramid. How is it, how it is, it's like this. Okay, let me draw. Here we have bars. Okay, so this is the population pyramid. This shows male, this shows female, and this represents the age group from early 1 to 80 and so on. So now here we will going to discuss three type of pyramids. First is the population pyramid of Kenya. In the population pyramid of Kenya we are observing that the base is broad, so we can say that the birth rate is high, and as the bars are going above, the bars are decreasing, so we can say that birth rate is also high here and the death rate is also high here. So the particular country is not progressing as such. Now next is the population pyramid of India. In the population pyramid of India we are observing that the death rate, especially in the younger ones, is less. So if the death rate is low, hence this particular younger group will going to advance into the age of the 20s to 30s and will going to progress for the company, progress for the country, and hence this is the human resource. यही आपको क्या देगी, resource देगी, skilled peoples देगी. Hence this is necessary for the country's growth. Now the last one is about the Japan. Last one is the Japan. In the Japan we are observing that the base is not so broad, so hence this showing the birth rate is very low, and also we will observe as going up it is also not narrowing, so the death rate is also low in this case. Hence the dependents are more here. Here also dependents are there and here also dependents are there. Now in this case you might be confused at how the dependents are low, because as the birth rate is low, then this from 0 to 15 age group, here the people are very low, so less workforce will going to be there in the future. But this group is little bit broader, hence we have more elderly dependents, and hence government will going to provide many economic benefits to them. They are just like the burden, although we cannot say burden, but they are not actually contributing in the nation's economy. So decreased death rate allow number of people to reach old age. Skilled, hopeful young people endowed with a positive outlook are the future of any nation. We know this. Now the population pyramid, see this, expanding, stable and declining. Here narrow base declining is of for the Japan, stable you can observe it for the India, and expanding means wide base, high birth rate. So expanding is for Kenya. Implications क्या होंगे इसके, नीड फॉर स्कूल जॉब ऑफ कोर्स, जब बर्थ रेट काफ़ी ज़्यादा वाइड है, सो वी नीड टू ट्रेन दैम, वी नीड टू प्रोवाइड एजुकेशन टू दैम, सो दैट this particular thing, this particular data can move to the adult group. Now apart from that we need to provide medications also. because in this case of Kenya we are seeing that death rate is also increasing. So infrastructure needs to be there, there needs to be proper medication should be there, food should be there, so that this group of the high birth rate can lead toward the young group and hence contribute to the particular country. Stable, we have already observed, steady economic planning we need. And here declining may we also need healthcare and pension focus. Pension focus should be there because why? Old people are more. And hence now with this we are going to cover up our chapter. I hope everything is very clear. For the population pyramid, I just want you can uh, observe the charts that are shown in the NCERT, and they are very good, and the wordings of the NCERT are so easy. It will help you in understanding the concept easier. Thank you so much.